Drafting a live FFPC main event with Abib Agbetoba, the two-time $350 entry champion from First and 15 podcast. I'm Theo Gremminger, lead fantasy analyst right here at RotoWire. We're drafting out of the 10 spot, Abib. How do you feel about being in the back end?
You know, at this point of the year, I think the 10 spot is ideal, especially as we get into some of these like mid to later rounds in the FFPC format. So I'm loving it. But you know, we can make any spot work. So I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, we've got another main event in a couple days out of the 105. I agree with you. Yeah. We can win out of any spot. We've had a good hit record when we've been drafting teams together the last couple years. Going to look to do it tonight. Shouldn't be too many surprises in this board, but you never know on a Friday night. The 10 o'clocks get a little bit crazier than these 7 o'clocks. But we're going to see sort of a normal run out here. We've got a couple of targets we talked about in the pre-show. Hopefully they're there. We see Christian McCaffrey at the 104. So that's a good signal that this could end up being a little bit sort of off the grid. Puka falling, and then the couple of wide receivers and Bowers should go with these next couple picks.
Yeah, pretty straightforward so far. I'd like to see maybe one more guy go that will just make us have to make a very tough and difficult decision, but so far so good.
And you're drafting every day now, Abib, as we get to the season, or are you taking any days off?
No, definitely not every day, but I'm drafting pretty often. You know, I've been drafting since February, and I'm talking about a redraft. I do a couple best balls here and there. I try to, dap my feet in that a little bit, but for the most part, I've just been hammering redrafts since February. So, start off about once a week, but it's been an interesting process drafting that early because you really get to appreciate the market fluctuations, the changes in ADP, the board tightening up, guys rising, guys, lowering, and I think this year, more than anything, being able to draft throughout the process has been extraordinarily helpful. It's not even necessarily about drafting late for me. It's just that I've been able to kind of take advantage of ADP dips, even if it's only been for a couple of weeks or a couple of months span. So,
yeah, we saw the craziness the other day with Ashton Genty. I know you ended up with an 8th round share of Genty. Did I get that one correct, Abib?
Yeah, the main event, which I guess kind of makes sense because if you're putting up $2,000. Trying to win $1 million, you probably want to be a little bit more cautious. But for me, when things like that happen and there's just a lot of unknown, I like to hop in the draft and just kind of see what happens. I think people kind of get on edge. Crazy thing has happened. We saw Washington go, I think actually at the 6-7 turn, I believe, I believe it was a 6-7 turn. So you never know what can happen. So to me, I love when the board really shifts. That's my time to get in and just kind of naturally diversify. We just saw CD go at the 6.
Yeah,
so we're going to have some great options here.
That's working out well for us. We're 2 picks away here at the 110. We see CD Lamb go before JSN, which is very rare these days to sort of see that one. So this must be a CD Lamb flag plant from the manager. I mean, we're more likely to see CD Lamb at the 205 than we are here at the 106, Abib. So this is a little bit out of nowhere with him getting pulled up at this one. Pickens is certainly sort of settled in, so I think people are not really looking to push CD Lamb up. We've got a few players in the queue. I know you're loading some guys in the queue. I'm loading some guys in the queue as well.
So I don't want. Obviously, I think we're live, right?
Yeah. We don't do that pre-recorded stuff here.
Yeah. So we won't talk about the guys just yet, but number 3 is a guy that I think we had kind of a discussion beforehand about who can really break the first round as far as 400. But that being said, number 1 is also a very, luxury pick. And in this situation, I would just sort of kind of go based on ADP again. I like to naturally diversify.
I'm fine with it. I have exposure to all these guys. Yeah. I mean, I think number 2 is, and we'll talk about him when we're OTC. There's also a chance that somebody could technically come back to us.
Yeah, exactly.
More likely than not, I think we probably go with the top ranked player in our queue. But if you want to push up a different position, we can go in that direction.
Yeah.
So 1 pick away here, 13 seconds to go on the clock. This manager is milking it. Probably just like us, they're going to have a tough OTC decision here.
Yeah.
10 is fun, though, because you're going to walk away with 2 really awesome picks to start out your draft.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, this time of year, I love it. So that was tough. He went to Amon-Ra.
Would have been nice. I have two Amon-Ras in main events right now, so I'd never mind. Wouldn't have minded a third. But which way do you want to go here between the 2 players we have in our queue?
I'm actually number 2. I love number 1 for a variety of different reasons. I think we'll talk about him a little bit more in the second round. But, if I'm just projecting forward, we saw what happened last year. Trying to be discreet here, but yeah, I'm two actually.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and take that pick for us? I know you're looking at it on yours.
Yeah, I think I'm not necessarily able to draft on mine.
Oh, okay. So let me make sure, because I'm having an issue with getting in there. Hold on.
Yeah, we may need to see. Maybe it's not just me.
Yeah, I think everybody. I'm having a trouble getting a pick in here.
Okay, maybe they paused the draft. Okay, the draft is paused.
Okay, so then it must have been something.
So we got a little bit of time. Okay, so we may, maybe we may end up with the Monroe. We'll see. But yeah, off topic. I've just kind of seen it all throughout the offseason. You just see, every week there's like the hot guy, the sexy player, the guy that is just getting all the love across Twitter and social media formats. And I don't, sometimes I just try to drown out the noise. And it's tough to really not want to, go after some of these guys that are super sexy.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, and I'm certainly I've certainly been part of the hype, Abib. I told Brett Whitefield. I remember when I was podcasting with him, and he said something to me. And I said, "I am the hype, Brett. I am the hype."
Yeah.
So I'm pushing guys up a little bit for our own benefit, but then you end up with a guy like Stribling or a guy like Casey Concepcion. Some guy accused me of causing Michael Wilson and Alec Pierce to be so highly drafted on Underdog, like I manipulated the market. That was a weird one, Abib. You never know what you're going to get.
You're a market mover, and you should own that, right? And part of I think being a fantasy football player in 2026 is being able to kind of decipher through the news and being able to put things in context. Because we love all these players. Like, we love all of these players, right? And it's just kind of how much do you love them compared to the next player? And if you were stuck in that vacuum, in that chamber, okay, here we go.
Okay, so did they take the pick back? Why did we even pause it then?
Maybe we were waiting on someone to get in the draft. But
okay, so we want to go with number 1 in the queue here. Okay, all right. Let's lock him in. Go ahead. You have access to taking this, Abib?
Yeah, I took him.
Okay.
And so, we took Jonathan Taylor. And so there's been a lot of talk about regression, and I get it. A lot of talk about, okay, if they're behind in games, we see huge swings in his points per game outage. But he's got an elite offensive line. I think we were discounting or double counting the Daniel Jones injury, and we're actually now seeing that he's healthy. Now we have a stable wide receiver core. Alex Pierce, we know, is now healthy. They brought in Keenan Allen to sort of kind of shore up the wide receiver. Obviously, we got Josh Downs and we got a young Tyler Warren. And there's really not much competition. And the biggest thing that I actually love about him is that because of the injury with Daniel Jones, we are not going to see a lot of that goal line rushing that we typically see from Daniel Jones across the years. I don't believe anyway. So I think there's a huge opportunity for him to really smash when it comes to scoring 15 plus TDs. And that's really what you need.
Yeah, he was averaging like 27 points per game early on in the year, like just crushing it. So, and the O-line is completely locked in. Alec Pierce being back there helps the entire offense, and Keenan Allen helps them too. Team 12 with a really interesting and high upside start with Trey McBride and Justin Jefferson. James Cook we would have loved to have had at the 203, considered him at the 110. He's off the board. So we're one pick away here. And Chase Brown just goes. So initial lean is this is a running back.
Yeah.
And I think you're in the right direction here. I could be convinced to go with about 3 other running backs here, but I think it's Kenneth Walker. I like the idea of a Walker and Taylor start.
Yeah.
You're good with this one, Abib?
Yeah. And other guys in consideration, A-Chain, Hampton, all these guys are going to kind of have their warts and issues. But I think Kenneth Walker, we can talk about upsides with all these guys. I'm happy with that pick.
Okay, so let's lock in Kenneth Walker. So we get a running back start. We're not going to feel the pressure at running back. It sort of keeps our next 4 picks completely wide open. We're not going to be we're open-minded to a running back with one of the next picks, but only if a value falls to us.
Yeah, and this is like the point in the draft too, I think, where now, talk again about my first 3 to 4 rounds. I really just care about who's going to score the most points. I don't care if it's a wide receiver. I don't care if it's a tight end. I don't care if it's a running back. I'm just trying to do my best as far as trying to project it. It's obviously a hard thing to do, but people talk about, okay, let's starting off 2 running backs versus versus going like 0 RB or maybe loading up on a tight end. And to me, I just really what drives me is who's going to score the most points, and then I'll adjust my draft accordingly afterwards. So I think Justin Jefferson would have been in discussion there for sure.
For me, Jefferson, I would have taken ahead of Walker.
Yeah.
I would have liked a Taylor Jefferson start. I'm back on a big Justin Jefferson bounce back year. But again, when we look at structure, the 310, even with guys getting pulled up, the 310, we know there's going to be a wide receiver there for us.
Yeah.
Probably multiple wide receivers, and then the 403 as well. Also, the 510 sometimes feels like it's the end of like a group of wide receivers that are pretty high upside. Yeah. If we were picking it like the 608, 609, some of those guys go off the board. But I like the start. And then you get a shout out here. Been waiting for this, Theo. You always talk about this guy. So I talk about Abib because, okay, so Abib is not only my friend, but he's also one of the best high stakes managers. I mean, in the history of the game with what you did back-to-back seasons, Abib, you won the $350 entry back-to-back years, took down some serious money. Shout out to our guys, Go Bills, also in the chat. I think Nick was in the chat. They took down the main event back-to-back years. So there's some unbelievably great managers in FFPC, and you're certainly one of them. You had some good teams last year too, ours included. Yeah. We had a main event team that was running very pure throughout the year. But how awesome was it? And which of those 2 years was like the bigger shock to you to win it all?
I mean, definitely the second time.
Oh yeah.
I think it was each year. I think the first year I started playing, I think I had maybe 3 or 4 teams, and I just got absolutely destroyed. But if you're a competitive person, like in anything else, you're just going to work and try to figure things out. And the second year, I think I had 15 teams, and I lean more on, okay, how many of my teams like made the playoffs? How many of my teams advanced to the 3-week tourney towards the end and made the big dance? I think that's more where I look at, was it a successful year? I mean, obviously, you win like $1 million or however, that's a big thing. I mean, everyone would want that, and I get that. But even like the years afterwards, like last year was an incredible year as far as I think I had 40 main event teams, and I want to say 29, 30 made the playoffs, and then about 52, 53% actually advanced to the large field tournament. So just getting bullets, because no one knows what's going to happen. I always, make this sort of kind of analogy of, if you could pick your team, no ADP restrictions whatsoever, for the final 3-week stretch, the chances of you still winning that 3-week stretch is still pretty slim, because so many different things happen between injuries, guys sit out, Gibbs had duds, JSN really wasn't what he was towards the back end of the year, Derrick Henry came out of nowhere, so Pitts came out of nowhere.
The Kyle Pitts week was wild. Yeah. Derrick Henry, certainly. So you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it's a matter of, and I think you talk to people that have taken down overalls, the number one key is having multiple teams get there. I mean, if you're a one-team drafter, I get it. But still, if you're drafting a high level of teams, it's sort of the advance rate. Can you get a number of teams there? And sort of having a unique team can help you a lot. There's going to be players that are on a very high percentage of teams that get through. That's just the nature of fantasy football. But having a little bit of variance helps you a lot. So I think those early drafts will end up helping you, Abib. Those $350 entries going off the board in like February. Wild stuff. We didn't used to have access to those. We see at the 2-3 turn, we're continually seeing Chris Olave, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins, Colston Loveland, and then George Pickens sometimes there. Yeah. Is that the way you've been playing the 2-3 turn, or are you mixing in potentially a running back pulling one up or one that falls?
I definitely don't pull one up. I'm not, I feel like there's a big teardrop even after Derrick Henry, and you can, I think his standard, a wide range of outcomes is pretty wide given his age and potential lack of receiving options. And then, I like Olave, I like Nico. I'm really worried about Neighbors. My stance from him in February has not changed. So I kind of took advantage of the 4th round, 5th round. I had the 1 5th round 80 main event share. But the 2-3 turn still worries me. I may grab him here and there, but for the most part, a London, a Collins, and Olave, offer similar upside to a guy who's coming off a pretty significant knee injury and who's definitely not going to be 100%. So I'm not saying don't take him. I'm not saying he doesn't have the upside, but it seems like you're fighting an uphill battle and taking them at a premier spot.
So we're 3 picks away. I loaded the queue with 5 guys. Is there anybody else you'd want to push into this queue right now?
No, I think that's good. I'm going to add one more. Well, I guess we gotta feel it, huh?
We got to sweat it out a little bit here.
Yeah, we'll sweat it out a little bit. We should land one of these guys.
Well, we're gonna land. We're gonna land one. It would be unbelievable to land two.
Yeah.
Okay, and there goes Zay Flowers, who was in our queue.
Yeah.
So we have 5 guys in the queue, and we're 2 picks away.
Yeah, and the guy that we have at the top of the queue, we're in lockstep on that one.
Yeah, I love him. I got a ton of exposure to him in this range. Number 4 would be an interesting conversation for structure. Is there a chance that one comes back around to the 403? I put it at 40%, 50%. I mean,
yeah, this is one of those picks, and we're at the time of this off season. I don't have a lot of drafts coming up. Like, I'm going to be pissed if I don't get this guy. I'll be more upset if I don't get one than if we miss out on some of the other guys. So
yeah, our boy Scott Barrett calls me an ADP slave. I always am playing that. Can I get 2 guys here? And Scott hates that.
That's the way to play. That's the way to play.
Thank you, Abib. I
mean,
you draft a lot.
That's the way to play. Because again, we like all these guys, right? So yeah, it'd be great to get this guy, but what if we get this guy and our other guy? Like, we're greedy drafters. We want to be greedy, right?
So this hit us really, really well. I think it comes down to 2 guys here. I think the one player won't get it past the 112 manager. So do you want to risk it, or do you want to get your guy? We're sort of wide open here.
Personally, I have a lot of number 2, or have a significant amount of number 2, and I would just say let's get our guy.
Okay, so you want to go with player number 1 in the queue?
Yeah, and we're positioned to be okay, I think, based on later rounds.
Agreed, and I think that of our queue, one of those guys is definitely going to come. We'll take our chances that one of them comes back around.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's lock in. You want to go Jalen Waddle here?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, so we're taking Jalen Waddle, which is a wide receiver we talked about in the pre-show. And I've been drafting, and I know Abib has been drafting as well. I have exposure to some of the other guys in our queue. I think those are the correct picks. So we have 4 guys here, and we're hoping that one of the guys that's not in our queue gets pulled into it. So we'll see how this sort of shakes out. I like the run out here. We end up with 2 running backs. We followed up with Jalen Waddle, who I think is poised to have maybe his best season ever as a pro. Yeah. Tyler Warren, we've both taken in this range a lot. He goes 1 pick later. I get it. Tyler Warren, I mean, I love Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
And structurally he would have helped us, but getting wide receiver there I think matters a lot. And I think there'll be some tight ends that I'm into.
Absolutely.
At the 5-6 is going to have some tight ends for us.
Absolutely. So, forget number 6. That was not worse. Okay. Yeah. One other guy here too.
You're gonna be all right. We just need one pick to go our way here. Okay. So Breece Hall goes. We had considered him on the previous pick. Yeah. I think it would have been an incredible pick for us if we would have gone wide receiver running back to get Breece Hall there. But getting Jalen Waddle I think was really good. We'll talk about Waddle in a moment. Okay, and then Garrett Wilson, who we also had in the queue.
Yeah.
All right, we're holding our breath here a little bit. We've got 4 guys in the queue, and a good set of 4.
Yeah.
I think number 1 would be great. I like the idea of 4. 3 doesn't excite me as much, but it's sort of, if you want to make that bet, I don't hate it.
I just moved 3 down to 4. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're in lockstep with this.
Okay.
3 excites me because I mean, if we're taking upswings, we're swinging for the fences and trying to hit home runs. 3 excites me quite a bit too as well.
I like the way Team 12 started out here with Trey McBride, Justin Jefferson, Breece Hall, and Garrett Wilson. Theo Gremminger set of guys there. The team in the 11 hole gets James Cook, Chase Brown, and Tyler Warren. They are OTC right now. We're waiting to pick Theo Gremminger and Abib Agbetoba, drafting an FFPC main event. And there you go, Abib.
Yeah.
So Tedero McMillan goes. So we can talk about the guys here.
Yeah.
I think this is, T. Higgins, Emeka Egbuka, Luther Burden. I like the idea of T here because I worry a little bit about Egbuka with the toe, but I'm totally fine taking Egbuka. That's my guy.
Yeah. I'm between personally T and Luther Burden here. I want to try to get the guy who's going to be the number 1. And so when I'm thinking as far as upside goes, T's great, but T is going to be hard pressed to break into that top 6, top 5 wide receiver category.
I don't have Luther Burden in a main event yet. If you have conviction on this one, let's take Luther Burden and let's get it locked in. I love Ibuka, but I don't want to go with the toe injury. You want to go Burden or Higgins?
Let's go Burden.
Okay, so we're taking Luther Burden here in the 4th round. We're getting exposure to him a little bit earlier than ADP, but I think this is sort of where it's going to settle in when we get to Vegas. Abib, so we start out with 2 running backs, then we go 2 upside wide receivers. And I think when we're looking at it, it's a chance that Jalen Waddle has his best season ever as a pro. I think things are sort of lining up for him. I remember, Abib, when we were both sort of on the come up and we were kind of get to know each other, we were both into Stephon Diggs his first year in Buffalo, and a lot of people sort of laughed us off on that take. Yeah. But we were sort of on Stephon Diggs as a 6th round value that year. There's been some parallels here. Obviously, Bo Nix is not the caliber of quarterback that Josh Allen is, but I think Bo Nix can give you a very high-scoring season himself, and I think one of the main reasons is Jalen Waddle and how much they gave up for him and how big his role is going to be.
I mean, it's almost in lockstep, and you say he's not as good a quarterback as Josh Allen, but Josh Allen wasn't as good a quarterback as Josh Allen. At that point in time, he was sort of kind of it was that beautiful stack of guys that we felt could break out, kind of similar to Lamar and Mark Andrews. So, yeah, I think I'm 100% with you on the idea of Waddle potentially having that career year. The OC changing, probably doesn't change much with the playbook, but maybe, the whispers coming out of a quicker pace and just Nix being a little bit more in tune with the offense. I mean, we got a glimpse of it. You watch some players play, and if we can marry volume and explosion and efficiency, I mean, that to me is what makes Waddle so interesting. We don't know what the volume is going to be, but we know he's going to be explosive when he gets the ball, right? So to me, Waddle is like, at the very least, T. Higgins' floor. But then if we get volume with it, now we're looking at JSN or this year's JSN potentially, at least from a production standpoint.
I mean, it's an awesome thought. And when it comes to Waddle, I mean, it was one of the most pass-happy offenses in the league last year. Nix has been very accurate, and he's got mobility. And I think Waddle has a chance to really shine. We remember Cortland Sutton, what a huge value he was with Nix's rookie year, and how Nix was able to really boost him off of ADP. Could be the same thing with Waddle. Burden is the swing for the fences one. I think the fact that our structure was so good with Taylor, Walker, Waddle, it sort of opens us up for a swing for the fences. T, we know what he is, and it's a great fantasy asset. Yeah. But Burden, I think, has that other level. And you talk about a player who can shine on a 3-week sample size. I think Burden has that. The vibes are great. Quick question for you, Abib. 10-team PPR redraft, trade up for pick 4, or do you stay at the 8th overall pick? We don't know what cost this is, but it's a 10-team league. You're going to be all right everywhere. But we're gonna pick your brain on this one. It's a super chat, so let's get it answered. I like going moving up to the 4 myself.
Yeah. I definitely need to know the biggest thing drafting this year is: are you starting 3 wide receivers or only required to start 2? Like that's number one. So if you're starting 3 wide receivers, I don't mind moving up to the 4 and just grabbing Chase or Puka, an elite wide receiver, to kind of lead my 3 wide receiver room. If I'm only having to start 2 wide receivers, I probably would just stick at 8 and load up on the back end. That probably wouldn't be my move in that league.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're in a 10-team league, and you got if you stayed at the 8, it's not the worst thing in the world. You're going to end up probably with 2 elite running backs there, but in a 10-team, you're going to be able to recover a little easier at wide receiver, would be the argument. And also in a 10-team league, I'm probably more interested in getting a Bowers and having a real edge at tight end. Just because 10-team leagues, sometimes the one-off positions, if you have a huge gap between 1 and 2, it can end up being a huge benefit. But back to the main event here, Abib. Nothing really too out of nowhere on the picks we're seeing. Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift all go in round 4. Ibuka falls to the 408. We've seen that before. And then DJ Moore gets pushed up into the 406. Have you been drafting DJ Moore? I moved him up in my rankings on RotoWire. You can get access to those using the code Theo35. And I sort of begrudgingly kept moving him up because the vibes are really good. This is still a little early for me, taking him at the 406, but I get it. I get it too. I have not moved him up though. For me, I think again, I'm
I'm really sticking with my priors. Assess the situation when he went to Buffalo, and I get that he's probably going to lead that team in targets. I do worry that the ball will get spread around quite a bit. You have Josh Allen, who's going to obviously take maybe 8 to 10 TDs rushing. He just does that annually. That's kind of my issue with having Cook projected as like a top 3 back. Is just you have that quarterback that you can just kind of book it, 8 to 10 TDs right off the board. But it is an explosive offense. This might be just kind of my personal bias. I don't see any issues with it. I just tend to go elsewhere.
We have a couple questions in the chat. We'll get to them after these guys go off the board. Really appreciate how active this chat is. Make sure you're also checking out Abib's channel, First and 15. I've been on that show with you guys before. Yeah. If you enjoy my high stakes conversation, that's sort of what you guys do. Fantasy Empire and First and 15, those are the 2 pods if you want this sort of high stakes content. What you guys have built over there is awesome. Chris and Theo and yourself, you've been podcasting together for years now. And how many drafts are you guys doing together collectively on your channel?
I think we got a couple of more coming up. The guys have been busy. Everybody kind of has their respective practices, kids, significant others. There's one that's like learning to become a pilot. So this year's been a bit choppy just because of life. But I think we're going to try to finish the off season pretty strong. So we'll have some shows coming up and definitely some drafts. We did a main event. Oddly enough, we got Luther Burden in the 5th. This is during peak Luther Burden injury scare. So getting him in the late 5th round was kind of a nice option, but he's kind of lived 4 or 5 turn for the most part throughout most of the offseason. So
we see Bucky Irving go off the board at the 502, and we see Parker Washington go off the board at the 411. 2 guys that are sort of moving upwards. There's been some reports that Sean Tucker could get cut, and there's also some reports. I've talked to a lot of people in know, as do yourself. And Bucky Irving, I think a lot of people are coming into terms that maybe they were fading him a little too hard. They're trying to, I think, recover a little bit, some of the high volume guys, but the vibes are pretty good. Josh Jacobs with the potential suspension. I mean, team 3 goes with Ashton Genty, gets a slight discount there, and then potentially a Josh Jacobs discount if he sort of avoids anything at the 503. Are you avoiding Jacobs right now with sort of a little bit of a cloud, or is it, we're not litigating what he did off the field. We're just saying for fantasy football here.
Yeah. I think so. Just up front, like the Jacobs situation, we all know that was a terrible situation. We don't know what happened, but if it did happen, terrible situation. I always like to say that. I think it's important. That being said, I have been buying Jacobs. I've been, kind of buying the dip. So anytime he falls to like the late 4th, I've been grabbing him with the idea that, he may potentially get suspended. I think what he did last year before the injury was pretty significant. I think we double count the injury and say, oh, he's getting old, he has a bunch of injuries. But before the injury, he was a top 6, top 7 back points per game. It's really just based on your risk tolerance, to be quite honest. I mean, no one can tell you if you should take Jacobs or if it's a bad pick. If you have a high risk tolerance, and you want to swing for the fences, then I mean, I personally would try to, given the more recent news, try to take advantage of a dip. I think, when you take them like at the kind of mid to late 5th, you're not really seeing much of a dip there. But if he falls to like the 6th, 7th, now I get to take advantage of that dip. All that being said, my highest owned running back is Marshawn Lloyd. So it's not as if like I'm just like all in on Jacobs and completely ignoring the other situation. All these things are based on ADP, based on value, and to me, both were worth the risk and the value where they were going. Yeah,
I said this on X the other day, and I think 2 things can be true. Jacobs in the 5th round is a great value, and Marshawn Lloyd is one of the best handcuffs in football, period. Yeah. We see a little bit of a wide receiver run. Jamison Williams, Terry McLaurin, Rome Odunze, Devontae Adams within the last 5 picks after a running back run of David Montgomery, Bucky Irving, Josh Jacobs, and then 1 pick after Jamison Williams was Cam Scadaboo. We're 1 pick away. We've got a ton of options here and a very balanced team. So looking at it, I'm open-minded here. If I like where you're at with the 2 guys, I think we're kind of lockstep that this is the position here.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason to push another player in there. Who would be your initial lean on order of choice here?
Probably two.
Two, I think. Yeah, I like two. I've taken him earlier than that. I'm going to move him up to one.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable taking the one that I just moved down, though. Okay, so we're OTC here, and we get sniped on Jadarian Price. So, we want to take him. Yeah. So open-minded to where we want to go here.
Yeah. So the other option is we could, kind of do like a 3-4, 3-4. I'm gonna load the other guy. 3-4-5. And just kind of grab that range of guys. But if we wanted to, between 1 and 2, I don't have a lot of 2. That situation worries me. I probably would just, take the risk with 1, and we pray that offense is something this year.
I think to me, it's a better player, and I think that the prospect profile was incredible.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting a potential bell cow here, even though it's a bad offense. I say we take him, and I think one of those other guys is going to come back. So let's take Quinshon Judkins here at the 5'10". So Quinshon Judkins, I've been, one of the few. There's a couple other people out there that are creating content that have been sort of talking about an upside case for Judkins. Obviously, it's a terrible quarterback situation. The offensive line gets ranked extremely low based on, I think, a lot of what happened last year, but they put a tremendous amount of money and draft capital into the offensive line. And then you look at like Todd Monken, the way Todd Monken talks about him, the way Deuce Staley talks about him. I mean, I think they want to embrace him as a bell cow. Could he get injured? Sure. Yeah. Is he going to score enough touchdowns? I don't know, but we have him in the flex here, and we're getting expected volume in the flex every single week.
Yeah, no, and I love it. I mean, this is like a perfect place where you can kind of take this pick, low floor, but there is upside. I completely agree. And you mentioned Todd Monken and Deuce Staley. Deuce Staley, wherever he's gone, seems to have always improved that running back room, or kind of help running backs get to that next level. But Todd Monken's system has always been one where I think running backs have thrived. We may have to worry a little bit about Dylan Sampson, but I think when you don't have to worry about your quarterbacks rushing for 400 or 500 yards, or taking goal line, he's going to have all of those opportunities. There may not be a lot of opportunities, we'll see. But I mean, this offense has weapons, and I'm in agreement with the offensive line. This offense has weapons, and coming out, I thought Quinshon was a better running back, a better pure running back, a better pro running back than Henderson. So I've been kind of team Quinshon from day one.
Yeah, and we've seen him go higher than this. I mean, you see drafts where the running back gravitational pull pulls these guys to the mid-5th, early 5th. So the fact that you get Price, Judkins, Tootin, and then Travion goes here, I expect Ramondre is going to go very soon. Mike Evans goes off the board right before us. We're OTC here. I think this is a tight end pick.
Yeah.
I'm open-minded to... I like the idea of Tucker Kraft, but if you want to talk me into Kyle Pitts or Sam Laporta, I'm fine with it.
It's a tough. I think Laporta has the sort of kind of more explosive offense, but I will lean on who can be the number 1 or number 2 in targets. And so I think Kraft. I mean, we'll see if they could expand his role, but at the very least, could be number 2 or heavily used. And I love the scheme that he's in. Kyle Pitts could see a lot of targets. I mean, there's been some kind of talks about screen game and things like that. He's likely the number 2 in targets. It's a tough one. I'm probably Kraft.
I think it's Kraft.
Yeah.
It's just a better offense for me, and I trust Jordan Love a lot more. So let's take Tucker Kraft. I think Kyle Pitts, you make all the right arguments.
Yeah.
Also, the Kevin Stefanski, the history he's had with tight ends, David Njoku, Harold Fannin Jr. There's always been tight end production, but Jordan Love, I feel like is a little bit of a sleeping giant here. And we talk about, could the offense change a little bit? We've already seen Jordan Love his first year, so many touchdown passes. Kraft was 14.5 points per game in regular PPR last year before he went down. We had him on a shared team, Abib, and it was really unfortunate because it looked like he was going to be a league winner in this setting potentially. So, hey man, he's back. I hope don't get hurt again, Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, stay healthy for us. No, I like that pick a lot. True serum. It's always true serum when you're a OTC, and I don't have a lot of Kyle Pitts. Just something there. And you kind of mentioned the tight end history with Stefanski, but even then, I mean, he produces some good tight ends, but it's not like he's producing top 5 tight ends. Like even if you go through his history, dating all the way back to Minnesota, his tight ends are good. They get tight end production, but it's not like he's producing top 3, top 4 tight ends. And Njoku kind of had that crazy year because Flacco seems to elevate all offenses regardless of system. But I think the right pick was Kraft there.
Okay, so Josh Peschke in the chat says, who is your other considerations when we took Judkins? So we had, in that queue, we had Jadarian Price, we had Quinshon Judkins, we had Tootin, and then we had all 3 tight ends. Well, we had 4 tight ends. Fannin went a pick later. So we were on tight end or running back. Jadarian would have been the preference over Judkins. But I have Laporta in these events as well. Nate Garcia thinks that somehow I have a bullied 2-time champion Abib Agbetoba into Quinshon Judkins and Tucker Kraft. I mean, that's not how we split teams, dude. That's not how we split teams. Yeah. Come on.
Trust me. Yeah, if there's a player that we do not want to pick, we're not doing it.
We're not doing that. We're not.
We're just seasoned at this by now. We're seasoned. We're like gelling. Like there's not a lot of. This is not you and Scott.
No.
I've seen podcasts with you and Scott. You guys are going at it.
Oh my God, the Matthew Stafford pick lives in infamy just to get your flag plant. Oh my God, I had so many people in my DMs, but yeah, no, I'm actually drafting 2 teams with Scott this week. One with Abib, so the 3 of us will be on the Fantasy Points channel, and Scott's our boy too. So people think I hate Scott Barrett now because we argued about during a main event thing. No, that's my boy. I talked to Scott today, and Scott and I are drafting a team with Rich Rebar here at 350 this week on this channel. So 2 more chances to see Scott and I draft together. We'll get along very well in the next one, I'm sure. DK Metcalf goes in the 6th round there, Abib. A little early for him.
Yeah.
And then you see Kyle Pitts fall all the way down to the end of the 6th. So Fannin, Kraft, Laporta, and Pitts are sort of their own little mini tier. Yeah. We'll probably see George Kittle's name called before we pick again. If you're listening on the podcast through 6 rounds, we are Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, Jalen Waddle, Luther Burden, Quinshon Judkins, and Tucker Kraft. Fun team, Abib.
Yeah. No, this is some of what fantasy football is about. Having fun, enjoying your players. But yeah, in the end, we're drafting this team. It's fun, it's sexy, but I don't really care about any of that. I don't care about any of that. I just care about these guys performing and winning. At the end of the day, people talk about process over results. No, for me, it's results. Me looking at the results allows me to reevaluate whether my process was correct or not. I don't go at the end of the season and think, oh, well, the process was correct. Just X, Y, and Z occurred. No. If my results were bad, then my process was bad, and I need to refine or revisit how I approach the season. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who sort of talk about that. I mean, it's a dollars and cents thing when you put a lot of money into it. And Abib, we also have to give a shout out. A couple of friends of ours are drafting in the $100,000 entry draft tonight. Abib, if we win the main event on this bullet or the one with Scott, we're going to draft a team in that one next year, 100%.
Okay.
Come on, it's 10%.
I'll shake on that.
It's a 10%. It's 5%. Yeah, there you go.
I'll shake on that.
Okay, we're in. So we're actually playing for $900,000 because $100,000 is going into an investment. Jonathan Brooks goes to the 101 manager. Ramondre Stevenson. So you're seeing running back cleanup. One question that was in the chat: do you have a Pittsburgh backfield take? And this is from Joe King. Shout out to Joe King, who's in a bunch of these live streams.
Yeah, I'm team Jalen Warren. I don't really draft most of these guys. Everybody has their own way of drafting, and I'm showing you can win in a lot of different ways because what no one can tell you is who is going to be healthy the 3-week stretch. What no one can tell you is who's going to have that crazy 40, 50-point game. What no one can tell you is which player of the RBC is going to get hurt. So I would never tell you not to draft a player because anything can happen, right? That being said, I'm going to look at my portfolio, and there are going to be certain guys I want to be overweight on. And sometimes it's a type of guy. And so for me, I tend to shy away from what I view as clear RBBCs. If I had to pick one, and I've been in this situation. I think when you draft at the 1, a lot of times you're kind of going hero RB and kind of forced into a situation, and Warren is usually the best back on the board. I've taken Warren over Dowdle. Give me the guy that is most likely to catch receptions in the PPR. And with a player like Aaron Rodgers, with a head coach like Mike McCarthy, they're okay using running backs who can catch the ball in the red zone. So to me, you have a lot of advantages there where he can still get goal line work, but then he's getting all of the hurry up, all of the 2-minute, and he's just on the field with a quarterback that we just saw like pepper his running backs with targets. So I think it takes a Dowdle injury for him to have just tremendous upside. But sometimes you just need a guy to get you to the tournament. And then based on where you drafted later, another guy may be able to win you the tournament. So Warren's a good pick. I mean, if I got to pick between those two, it's definitely Warren.
Yeah, I'm Warren over Dowdle, but I'm open-minded to Dowdle when I'm stuck. I think that they both have shots, and they're both kind of cheap. Warren I've taken more often, and I actually have a little more Warren in NFFC than FFPC, just the way sort of things shake out. But Warren, I think, theoretically could get the Gainwell targets, and he had 960 or so rushing yards last year. We are 2 picks away. I need to load up a little bit in this queue. I like who you just put in there. I think we're in the same place with this next pick.
Yeah, I didn't realize Warren had not been taken, and probably shouldn't have mentioned all of that.
Yeah, you basically sold him there. No, 710 would have been super low there.
Yeah.
I like 3 here because I think we'll probably get one of the other 2 guys on the way back.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Is there anybody else that we should be considering? Okay, all 3 are available. I think that the move is to take player number 3, and then one of those other 2 guys is probably there at the 803, just looking at the way things are shaking out.
I will say, though, looking at kind of, what's in front of us, 3 may actually be the more likely player that comes back. I'm between 1 and 3 as my guys that I want to get 1 or 2 of these guys. I do like. Sorry, I just moved up. I'm gonna move this guy. So the number one now is probably my preference.
Okay, you don't think he comes back to the 803?
Number 1, we're looking at. The
one who was really good last year that people are fading?
Okay, I think he may make it back.
Okay, so then let's take. You want to take?
Actually, no. I think he may not make it back.
Let's take number 1 in the queue then.
Okay, you go ahead and click it there. Okay. I think our queues are done.
All right, so we're going Michael Wilson here.
Yeah.
Which I've been coming around on. I never, he's a player that the drum beats are very good, and there's more and more people sort of taking very positive spins on him, and we're getting him for wide receiver depth here. So I kind of like it. I think he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver there. I get the Marvin Harrison Jr. enthusiasm, but I think Wilson's role is going to be fantasy friendly for targets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is playing the cup role. Okay. Like, I mean, I know people get upset when they say, oh, that's not what he meant. No, he is playing the cup role. The difference obviously is that they don't have Cup's quarterback.
Yeah.
or the entire offense,
And Trey and McBride. Yeah. And McBride too.
But that may not matter, if it's a bit of it, if they're kind of fighting from behind, and however long we can have Brissett, and who knows, the rookie may actually be something. He kind of showed a little bit in the preseason. But to me, again, I like to also lean on offensive coordinators, offensive head coaches who seem to have good schemes in place, and I think that's what we're seeing with them. So I like that pick. I like that pick, Sarah.
You threw a couple of my guys in the queue, Abib, and it's now you've got my head all twisted because 2 and 4, I love the idea of them with this build. 1 is such a practical pick. I feel like 1 structurally helps us a ton, but if you're 2, I have so much of, and 3 Same. I think is a great pick. I think they're both great picks.
Yeah. I have a ton of 2 as well, so I'm not hard pressed. It's lovely to see your players rise throughout the offseason. It's kind of like a love and hate. It's like, okay, I'm somewhat vindicated, but then it's also, okay, damn, now I can't, his price is getting a little, pricey. It's getting a little bit, to a point.
Yeah.
Questionable.
I mean, I get it. It's getting pricey, but it still could be. It could be 2. It could be 2 rounds too cheap.
Yeah.
For both of those guys, really in different ways. We'll talk about it when we're OTC because they're all going to be gone.
Yeah.
We'll see which way this manager goes. It comes down to the comfort level for building depth at that one position.
Yeah. I'm gonna lean.
2 would look great here. So would 3.
Yeah, I need to stop changing the queue because I think it's a lag on.
Okay, well we're just going to speak openly here.
Yeah. Well, let's let Treasure Hunter. Player. Okay. Perfect. All right. Okay. So yeah, I'm KC. I'm KC. I don't mind Goddard here either. I think like you mentioned, I think you're kind of alluding to him being a great structural pick. But when I'm thinking about like the last back half of the year, and we kind of went in on Quinshon with the idea that this offense is better than what people think. So, if his offense is better than what people think, I would expect KC to be a big part of that.
Yeah, I mean, Casey Concepcion is electric. Scott and I took him early in the last main event, and we also took Michael Wilson. So this will be my second Michael Wilson, my second Casey Concepcion. We actually flipped the order last time. Yeah. Dallas Goedert, it's sort of our comfort level. Can we make up a tight end in the late 9th and the 10th and the 11th? Absolutely. I think we can.
Absolutely.
I like QJ here. I like Stribling, but I think Casey's the guy. It's our guy.
Yeah, let's do it.
And Abib, since we're in a dynasty league together, I'll flex this one to you. I have Casey Concepcion on my two of my 3 highest entry fee FFPC dynasty leagues. I got Casey in both of those ones. So that's generational wealth for my family. For years to come in those big high stakes dynasty leagues right there.
What was he? Was he like a 104, 105 or
10? So like in the single QB streets, he was probably like the 106 going behind Lemon every time. And then I made a couple of moves in dynasty leagues where I would trade back up into that tier and get Casey Concepcion. So I have a lot of KC in Dynasty. It's a really good one. And then we read that pretty well. We had Stribling, we had Casey Concepcion, we had QJ, and we had Dallas Goedert. A really fun group of players. I wish we could have had one more of them. But we walk away from round 7 and round 8 with, I think, 2 wide receiver ones on their team in Wilson and KC. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr., we understand the argument. There's going to be half the people in the chat who don't like the Wilson pick because they think he can't score alongside Marv. We'll see. I like Wilson in this range. So we have 4 wide receivers. We have 3 running backs. We have 1 tight end. Very balanced team.
Yeah. I think, going back to the Michael Wilson, the splits to me, I mean, they mean absolutely nothing because it's a completely different system. I mean, you literally had Michael Wilson discuss how the X receiver in that offense is, likely the first read. And then you had a quarterback who has always shown to have, an affliction for tight ends. So he was probably never going to be in a spot, no matter how good or how bad he was, to see a lot of targets. And now we're in a completely new system. And when you're looking for like breakout guys, like that's the easiest way to kind of look for the breakout guy. New system, new environment, maybe someone who led the team in targets left. You brought in a new offensive coordinator. These are like drastic changes where anything could happen. So you got to really eliminate some of the data from 2025. And again, the guy had a crazy stretch. So he at the very least showed you that it's possible. It's feasible that he could break out.
Yeah, and I mean last year we used to call that a year 3 breakout, but people are sort of like trying to talk themselves into just this was lightning striking. But he had so many big spike weeks in a row or within a short period of time. And he was a Senior Bowl participant. He was a 3rd round draft pick. This is not some guy who's like without talent that was like some undrafted free agent. Got a question in the chat. Is anyone streaming that $100,000 draft? So yeah, there's going to be a stream for that one. But even better, I'm going to be reviewing the board tomorrow here. So if you want to find out the big picks and the big hits, I'm going to do it in about 35, 40 minutes. You don't have to watch 2 hours of it. You get Theo breaking it down. I'm going to do that 9 a.m. on the East Coast. Busy day tomorrow for me on the family side, but I have a little bit of window of time in the morning. I'm going to do a quick stream on that one. So if you're watching this live, come check it out. It'll also be on the podcast feed if you're listening to this. Dallas Goedert goes all the way to the the 808 there. Yeah. I think that's really good value for Dallas Goedert structurally. And I don't like the Jake Ferguson ahead of Dallas Goedert, We see what team number 6 is trying to do, though. Team 6 has CeeDee Lamb. Team 6 has Jake Ferguson.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to get Dak Prescott here. Are they going to try to push him around to the 10th round, Abib? If we get a super chat for $500, Abib and I will take Dak as our next pick and deny the stack just for the content. No, we don't.
Mind game. Hey, mind game. I mean, look, if you can get somebody on tilt, it may help us out in the later rounds. I'm not above it or below.
QJ falls to the 8-10 there. Yeah. QJ falls to the 8-10. That's good value there as well. Yeah. I thought I saw is Dio in the chat here. Your co-host on First and 15.
He's oftentimes incognito. I will tell you that if you can somehow figure out whenever he's in a draft, paying attention to kind of what's going on with him as far as how he drafts is something that you can learn a lot from. I talked about like the measure of success. He's come close to winning a lot of tournaments, but when you look at his percentage of teams that make the playoffs and teams that advance to the tournaments, it's as high, if not higher than mine. I mean, this guy, he absolutely just sort of kind of kills it in the high stakes realm. Not oftentimes, noted, but like he's a killer. So that's why just like our joint team last year, the First and 15 joint team made a lot of noise last year too as well. We made it to the tournament. We won our league overall points. And this was with like a Joe Burrow injury. And I think we had a stack, I think, between him and Chase. So we were still able to overcome all of that and still make it to the tournament too as well. So yeah, shout out to Theo.
Shout out to Theo, and also shout out to Nick Constantino, was part of the Go Bills team that won 2 main events. Nick, I'm sure I'm going to see you out in Vegas very, very soon. Abib, you're not going to be in Vegas though this year.
Yeah, no, I got to join my my buddies from the shout out to the Longhorn Fantasy Football League. College friends, 25 years in running. So 25th year anniversary. So I'll be out in Austin, Marble Falls, enjoying some time by the beach and watching some games and some football. Yeah.
Austin has a beach?
I should say lake.
Okay, come on.
We're gonna pretend it's the beach.
Yeah, come on. I know you Texans. You have to stretch it a little bit. I could be at the ocean in like 5 minutes right now on Long Island here. Okay, so we see 3 running backs. Marshawn Lloyd goes at a couple of notable risers. Marshawn Lloyd goes at the 901. Jawan Johnson has been creeping up in drafts. The potential to be the number 2 target in New Orleans is right there again for him, and drafters are sort of moving him up. He goes at the 8-11. Abib, have you seen him go higher than this?
Who's that?
Jawan Johnson.
No, I think, he's been creeping up. I don't know that I've seen him go higher than that. I think a lot of people are kind of relying on the idea of, okay, I can now wait at tight end because I see something in Jawan. We were on Jawan very, very early last year. We had a lot. We were able to kind of ride him. I'm actually worried about Jawan. I know all the stuff that kind of comes out of camp. Again, I try to just eliminate the noise. I find it kind of like, a game of, telephone. And Nick Underhill, everybody knows how great he is. But even with that, I'm worried. Yes, I'm worried about Devon Vele and Olave, and then eventually Tyson coming back. So I never like to just draft based on, what things look like now. I like to draft based on, okay, what's the most likely scenario for the entire season? And Tyson comes back and Vele's there. Now we just moved him back down to number 3, number 4 in targets. So right now it looks good, but does it look good a month from now?
We are 1 pick away here, and again, we're wide open based on our structure. I mean, I'll throw one player in there. You already have him in there. Okay, I threw one other guy in there.
Yeah.
Kind of an unexciting. Okay, there we go. We lose the idea of Caleb Williams, which would have been really nice with this build. I'm wide open here. I don't get that excited about number 1 in the queue. It feels like a get through guy. Both of them feel like kind of get through guys. Is there another player you'd want to push up here to the 9?
This is easy. This is easy. I'm not bothered by recent activity. If you want to, we're okay. I am team Terrance Ferguson here.
Does he come? Yeah, I think it's fine. I think 10:03 we're just sort of dice rolling. We don't like anyone here. This is completely wide open. So if we're going to take Ferguson, let's take him.
Yeah, only because I think a lot of these guys, like you said, are in the same tier for me. I'm going to go ahead and I'll click the button.
I got him. I got him. Abib, you get worried about me when it's like 10 seconds or less. I'm very quick. I'm very quick, guys.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, in my mind, I took him at the 10 pick because whoever we were going to take in the 9 hole, there's going to be a guy in that tier that's going to fall back to us.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to throw out. I just threw him in there. One other guy that I think is interesting. I put him in the 5.
Okay.
But we don't have to go in that direction. There's no pressure on that. I like 3. I like 1.
Yeah.
2 I have a lot of. I think it might be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of 2.
Let's take 2 out of there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so and also with our structure, I don't think we need that.
Okay, so I'm gonna add one guy here.
Sure.
This last guy that I added, and this is swinging for the fences. This is swinging for the fences. I think we need to make up a little bit later as far as just sort of kind of having guys that are available. But I just added number 5 to the queue, and there's a chance that we could see what kind of happens if we want to wait it out, but.
All right, let's see which way this thing goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Waddle goes. We did have Waddle in the queue.
Yeah. And I don't mind Waddle. I think Waddle is like a good you want to use the term structural pick. I just like to use a guy. And the way that I think about it is like my team is going to war. We're going to have casualties. We're going to have guys that need to step up. And so you need players like Waddle. You'll be amazed if you just look at a draft board and you're like, oh, this team has a great starting lineup. But if one guy goes down and you look at the rest of their board of just handcuffs or like high upside picks, 3 quarterbacks, and you're like, if one of your guys goes down, who are you starting? Like, who are you starting? Who are you plugging in the flex? And God forbid 2 guys go down or another player gets injured or one of the guys is a bust. So I do like the idea of just, having depth. I think having depth is something that's not talked about. And in season long and redraft, when you have to make these start sit decisions on a week-to-week basis. We don't have the luxury of best ball where it's just automated. Here you got to make decisions. You got to make decisions, and you could leave 40 points on the bench and have 1 point in your starting lineup, and it makes a difference at the end of the year.
I like the idea of 1 in our queue right now if he's still there though, and we have a little bit of like I understand where you're going with 4.
Yeah.
3 just feels like a really good value.
I don't mind 3 because 3 allows us to do a lot more later. We're not having to kind of play, catch up or having to kind of tap multiple. So I don't mind 3 either. I think either of these are gonna feel pretty good.
I think 3. I think it's probably 3 for me. We had Jaden Reed in our queue.
Yeah.
I don't. 1 is fine, but it's nothing exciting about it, and I think that I don't think we're ever going to feel the need to really push him in the lineup.
No.
I think an injury would have to open him up.
Yeah.
I think this is Jalen Hurts uncorrelated. For me, I think it's Jalen Hurts. Which way are you leaning on this?
Let's do that because I feel like we want to be greedy. Let's try to get both our guys, right? So let's do that.
Let's take Jalen Hurts. I don't see downside here with him at the 10:03. We don't have correlation. Obviously, it would be great if we had Goddard and we were able to add him, but Hurts, I think, is a little bit disrespected with this ADP. He's been so good in FFPC scoring, and instead of taking a theoretical wide receiver or running back pick here, or even a tight end, we made 2 bets. We bet Tucker Kraft at cost. We bet Terrance Ferguson a little bit ahead of ADP. Yeah. We get the free look with Terrance Ferguson. Structurally, that 10:03 could have been another tight end. But at the end of the day, you talk about make an easy decision. Jalen Hurts at the 10:03, Abib. Yeah. Like, unless he completely falls apart, the guy's been such a locked and loaded asset for us in a 4-point. And again, if you're just listening to this podcast, this is 4-point passing touchdown format. So Jalen Hurts is completely locked in.
And from a strategy standpoint, because I'm someone who typically will wait for QBs. Like, I do not mind waiting at all. But when I wait for QBs, I will take multiple QBs. Sometimes, it's just two if I'm very comfortable with that build, but sometimes it's three because QBs score the most points, and you don't want to get that wrong. And you also want to maximize your chances of having a guy that like really explodes. Like, you want this year's Drake Mayer, you want this year's so-and-so. But when you take a guy like Hurts, to me, this allows and opens up the rest of the draft where we don't have to worry about that. Because eventually at some point, guys are going to be trying to catch up at QB, trying to get their second QB because the first QB is somewhat questionable. Like there's certain players like a Caleb Williams. I like Caleb, but I don't know, kind of questionable. Do I really want to bank, my entire season that Caleb is that guy? Same thing with like maybe a Joe Burrow. We've seen him get injured a lot. You get a little queasy. Jalen Hurts, big sturdy quarterback who runs, gives you a safe floor, potentially may have a breakout this year. Doesn't have to do it through the air, but has weapons now. Or I shouldn't say has weapons now, but has an offensive system where they may spread it out a little bit more, motion, under center, play action pass, all the stuff that we love to hear that top third offenses in the leagues normally do. So, you take a quarterback like this in the 10th, you don't have to worry about quarterback the rest of the draft unless value falls.
Yeah, I'm with you completely. I think it's a really good pick. I wanted to have a Jalen Hurts in the main event exposure. I think it's a good one. And I also think we sort of got people were playing quarterback chicken in this draft, and we see 3 out of the next 5 picks are quarterbacks. We see Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, and the Dallas Cowboys stack manager got his stack. He got the CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, Dak Prescott stack. And then we see Trevor Lawrence go off the board. Jonah Coleman goes at the end of the 10th round to the J.K. Dobbins team. I like that sort of combination there in the 9th and 10th round where they get Dobbins at a decent price and then they get Coleman as well. I think that's a nice double bet. And then Chigakonkwo as we almost end round 10. It's starting to pick up the pace here. Xavier Worthy and Matthew Golden, I like that little combination. Where are you at on Worthy this year? Been mixing him in?
Not so much. I think if we're worried about Rashee Rice, then you need to be deathly afraid of Xavier Worthy. Just from a standpoint that the idea and the thought is we want to move to a more run-based offense. We want to, really kind of make Kenneth Walker the cornerstone of the offense. Then I think Rashee Rice still leads this team in targets. I think Kelsey is probably, just below him. And so I think, Xavier Worthy, he'll get his design targets, but he still really has not shown that ability in the NFL to be a downfield threat despite the speed. And this kind of was a player he was at UT. So I was always kind of shocked when he went that high in the draft. So outside of design targets, I mean, he's to me, he's like a best ball guy. I was drafting him kind of early in the offseason, with the idea that maybe Kelsey doesn't come back before Kenneth Walker signed. They're going to be somewhat the same type of offense, but with everything that we're hearing, with kind of where we are, he's a guy that you more of like a handcuff wide receiver. I have guys who I kind of consider handcuff wide receivers where they're really not startable or reliable unless somebody goes down.
So we have a couple of interesting comments, and I really appreciate how knowledgeable the listeners and viewers are for this show. A lot of really good high-stakes managers. Certainly, Abib, your show draws those guys in too. But here's a good one from Sean, and Sean I will see in Vegas. How do you guys feel about taking Jacobs and Lloyd on the same team? I think that's a really fun double bet to make, Abib, especially when you're getting 5th-round Jacobs now instead of 4th-round Jacobs. Again, like when you talk about how much Lloyd will cost you, Lloyd will be a 9th or 10th round pick, but I think that's a good double bet. LaFleur offenses have had a RB1 points per game finisher in 6 out of the last 7 years.
Yeah. And that's kind of literally how I played it throughout the offseason. Talk about, Lloyd being my highest on running back, but still going after Jacobs. I would probably say on 50 plus % of those teams, I had the pairing of Jacobs and Lloyd. Now, sometimes you're in drafts with owners who are very aggressive with taking Lloyd, so you may get sniped a bit. But that's like a nice hedge and a nice way to play it too. I think I was doing something very similar last year, a little bit different scenario between Tuden and ETN, whereas I want the kind of the star running back, and I ended up with a lot. I ended up with ETN just ended up being the highest on RB just because he was the cheapest option. So if you can do it and before Lloyd, kind of gets into uncomfortable territory, it's feasible. I still think the 9th round, to me, you got to really make sure you build out the rest of your team. Otherwise, again, you'll kind of look back and say, week 1, if one of your guys is questionable, you're looking at, maybe just take team 1, for example. I'm not saying their entire team, but maybe it's like a Mekhi Lemon that you're forced to start if you didn't build your team properly.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. We're 3 picks away. Aaron Jones goes. We have 3 guys in the queue.
Yeah.
One probably makes it to 1203. I think he does.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to speak too much because
okay.
I think people, your listeners listen to you, and if I speak, they're going to know the players. So I'm just
okay, that's fine. I think this is 2. Or do you want to end up with both of these guys?
I do not think we get both. I'm a risky player. People talk about shooting for upside. My upside is the way that I draft, not necessarily the players that I take. So when we look at our build,
we can support either one.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one do you want to take?
I'm 1. I don't know. I worry about that offense and being able to support a second. 1, I think, or
let's take them. Let's take them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been playing chicken with this one for a couple rounds.
Yeah.
This might be a 0 for 8 weeks, but once we get them, this could be the waiver wire ad of the year in like home leagues this year.
Yeah.
Jordan Tyson was trending towards 5th round when he was injured. The vibes were immaculate, and now we get him here in the 11th. We had sort of thought about him back when we took Jalen Hurts. We thought about him with Terrance Ferguson.
Yeah.
And to get him as our wide receiver 5, we have 4 really good wide receivers to sort of support this one. Yeah. But if that other guy's there at the 1203, let's just take him too.
Yeah. And, I don't know. For honestly, for me too, in these types of situations where, the guy's kind of hurt but projected to come back, it's still more likely than not that he comes back. I know it's, each situation is unique and different on its own. But in the 11th round, let's not act as if, okay, Addison goes, if that's your guy. Yeah. Let's not act as if, Olave can't go down with an injury, right? And what happens if Olave goes down with an injury, But even if Olave doesn't go down with an injury, they've already talked about, including Nick Underhill, how dominant or how good he looked and how awesome he looked in that offense during the offseason.
So I can't make an argument for I'm going to add him in the queue just for the vibes of this team. We can't. Yeah, the world will not love that one, but it could be really fun way to play it.
There's some other guys here, but I just I think it's too early for me. It's too early for my liking to be able to kind of go after certain things like that. I am not on 1.
Okay, so let's take him out. Take him out.
You could talk me into it, but I mean, I don't know.
No, we don't need to.
Yeah,
we don't need to.
It's a tough year to do it this year, I think.
I mean, I think it's fine, but it's again, there's so many good options here. It feels like a round early. Do you have a lean of the way these guys are ordered now? And there goes Brandon Aubrey, if anybody was considering.
I think,
I think it's
structurally for this team, I would probably lean 2.
I think 2 is fine.
Yeah, and that's exactly like in my mind, because to me it's a fine balance, but we need guys to get us there as well, right? Like I feel like we need guys to get us there. Is he gonna, win it for us? No, but can he help get us there in certain scenarios? I think so. I'm also open to.
I'm open to 5. I think that he's interesting. I think 4 is very interesting for this build. As like a swing for the fences guy.
Yeah. And
okay, so we're OTC here.
Yeah. Okay. So I think
and he just goes. So Chris Rodriguez was at the top of our queue there, and Chris Rodriguez just goes.
Yeah. So I'm between Allgeier, Spears, and Bigsby here.
So Allgeier, we get the potential of starts early on in the year. Yeah. And Jeremiah Love, we know that the ankle's sort of already there, so the injury box has been opened up. This is our RB4. Yeah. I think Bigsby, I think it's between Bigsby and Allgeier for me. Which way are you leaning here?
I'm Allgeier. Both really need an injury to explode. Allgeier, though, again, I mean, hopefully
just to add one little caveat, we get the Hurts-Bigsby correlation potentially could be lethal if that running game is good. But I like Allgeier and Bigsby are similar bets. Let's just take Allgeier.
I think so. On any other team, it probably would have been Bigsby for me. On most teams, I should say. Just because I think that he has a little bit more upside, but it's not that much more. I don't like the correlation between him and Hurts because I don't know how much he's going to assist him or help him out in the passing game. So I feel like if Bigsby goes off, it's taken away from Hurts, and the Hurts scores, it's taken away from Bigsby.
I don't know. It's sort of like the Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry corollary. It just depends on how pass happy that Philly offense is. Yeah. I think Sean Mannion wants to do it, but I think you would end up with, if Saquon were to go down, would they use Hurts' legs even more? You might get some positive correlation, whatever. And I think, and I have way more Bigsby than Allgeier, and I think you do as well. Bigsby's a guy that I'm taking like sort of auto picking. Rodriguez would have been a fun one for this build, get access to that Jacksonville offense, but the Allgeier pick, I feel like we had extreme edge with the Hurts and Tyson. Allgeier feels very structural, but it's fine.
Yeah. And I like the fine balance because at some point you're going to have to take some of these guys that just seem boring. But again, you need a Saquon injury for Bigsby to break out. We already have kind of a somewhat injury to Love, and he re-aggravates that. Now we're kind of cooking with Allgeier is another viable start option.
Yeah, I mean, it's just again, we're sort of also made a couple of bets on offenses that the market completely hates. We have 2 Cardinals and we have 2 Browns. So if the market sort of misread that these offenses are going to be quote unquote terrible, I mean, we saw Jacoby Brissett produce a bunch of like fantasy viable weeks last year. Yeah. And Arizona also, like, you get this sort of the random running back start weeks, like the spot starts. I don't hate that right there. We see Brock Purdy go in the round 12. We see Mahomes go in round 12. So one team has 3 quarterbacks. Abib, this is not the three quarterback build you were talking about. 3 in the first 12 rounds. No. This is not an Abib Agbetoba copycat.
No. That's a choice. Taking Lamar, Daniels, and Purdy is a choice. But you know what? This really makes me feel good about the Hurts because if you're someone who, like me, normally waits at quarterback, you're projecting that, okay, the Lamar owner is not taking a quarterback until maybe after round 13. A few guys double up here and there, but you're projecting that, someone like a Purdy or some other quarterbacks maybe still available make it to you. Now you're pinched a bit, right? So now you're pinched. And so if we get a nice little quarterback run here, I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah.
What's up?
I put one guy in the queue that I'm really into right now, and I think I'm not sure where you're at on him, but I put him in the queue.
I am not convinced that his counterpart is not the better option, but from a drafting standpoint, due to ADP, I do not mind taking him because his counterpart will be available off of waivers.
100%. Jacoby Myers goes off the board. He's been falling.
But all of these guys, so I'm adding guys to the queue. All of these guys are literally in the same tier. They are essentially, I don't want to say lottery tickets. I think it's a decent chance that some of these guys are serviceable. But I love this range, or I've come to love this range recently. As the guys have moved up the board and the board has been pinched and a lot of the value has fallen out, it forces you to just sort of kind of look and see what else is out there. And I've come to like a lot of the guys in these later rounds. And again, maybe the first couple of weeks they're not there. Maybe it takes an injury, but I think there are some guys who are going to be on the field quite a bit and are just, one injury away from not just being serviceable, but potential league winners.
Yeah, and there's an interesting conversation in the chat about how a lot of these guys end up getting cut in this range. That's sometimes true, but that's one of the issues with Jordan Tyson, Abib, and it's a champagne problem. It's a guy that you have to hold that's not going to get points, and you're not going to be able to play the waiver wire with that spot.
Yeah.
It's just it's if you play in enough teams, that sort of thing sort of resonates.
Yeah.
You want to have a couple guys where it's like, okay, I'm either keeping him or letting him go and trying to find the next one. And I think one of the truest things in fantasy, you talk about how there's multiple ways to build your team.
Yeah.
But if you're a successful manager, waiver wires are non-negotiable. Like every single successful fantasy manager in any walk of life is grinding the waiver wire really hard. We have one fewer spot to do that with this team.
Yeah. Per Deo, that is the last edge in fantasy football, in season management.
Work ethic.
Yeah.
Work ethic.
And it's not easy. You can say, "Oh, I'm going to be great and I'm going to get." I'm telling you, by week 8, I am like exhausted. It is a chore. It is a second job. It is not easy. It is not easy.
That was part of my job negotiations here when I joined RotoWire. Was I explained to them that my work rate is exceptionally high. I'm putting out shows every day, but Wednesday I'm not taking a meeting. Abib. Wednesdays is like I get my show done. My articles I'm going to have articles dropping multiple days a week this year too. But Wednesday I need time to do my waivers, so they want me to win as well. So I'm putting in the work. The waiver wire is grueling. My high stakes waiver wire article is coming over here to RotoWire. That's been at Fantasy Points. Before that, it was a Player Profiler. A lot of FFPC and NFFC and FFWC managers use that one. And if you're in a deep format, I'm usually a week ahead with that one. So come check that out at RotoWire. Kyler Murray goes off the board here. Everybody in this league has 2 quarterbacks at this point on this half of the draft. And then the back half of the draft, a couple people sort of with the 1 QBs.
So that's exactly so. Like, again, number 7 kind of helped us out. He kind of pushed it. You feel like you get pinched. You're like, okay, they may not make it back. So it's nice to see that quarterback run because that'll push some guys down the board. I put a guy at the top of the queue. Oh, sorry. I did want to shout out your waiver wire run. 1, I hate the fact that you do it. I really do. A lot of us do. But 2, for the listeners, it's great. I mean,
appreciate that.
It's great for high stakes, and it is really money for your home leagues because you can everybody is drafting very well. I did 2 home league drafts yesterday, 2 doctors leagues. And you would think these guys have more important things to do, but they were just all very, very sharp. It was not, me just walking in and dominating, but the one, I get them every year on the waiver wire. So don't ignore that for sure.
Shout out to the doctors leagues in over there in Texas, and shout out to Deo. Deo in the chat is I'd say hands down he's the best eye doctor in the high stakes fantasy football space. And I don't want to hear any arguments against that, guys. I don't want to hear any arguments against that one. We're 2 picks out. I love the player at the top of the board.
Yeah.
And I think we're good enough that we could take the player that's number 2.
Yes. And we can have a discussion about that too as well. And then number 3, I do want to kind of fill in this position because number 6 is a guy that also,
it makes some sense.
Yeah. And it offers us a lot in our current build. A lot.
I'm with you. One is sort of hard to pass up here.
I'm 100% 1. Yeah, let's do it.
I think we take 1 because one I think gets us there.
Yeah.
We're going to take Kenyan Sadiq here.
Yeah. He's going too late in drafts.
Way too late. And I think the fact that Omar Cooper has been so slow out the gate, it gives Kenyan Sadiq sort of the window to be the yak guy, the manufactured touch guy, get the ball in his hands, use that elite speed in interesting and creative ways. If Cooper was firing off and Cooper was like ahead of Adonai Mitchell right now, then I'd say that's going to be tougher for Sadiq. But it's the most disrespected ADP we've seen for one of these like rookie tight ends. We talked about Loveland last year.
Yeah.
He was going in the 8th round. Tyler Warren was going in the 5th round. Brock Bowers the year before was going very, very highly. Laporta, this is lower than Laporta rookie year. This is lower than Kincaid rookie year. Sadiq's buried right now.
Yeah, and their offensive coordinator, Frank Wright, I mean, look what he did to Ebron. And that was like his first year in that system. So number six in the queue. we're gonna have to start having some discussions about that offense, and outside of the obvious players to take in that offense, because I'm not going to be surprised if there's going to be a guy that may pop. I'm not saying he's a must, but he's just been an interesting guy that between him and the other, I want to take shots, because I'm not going to be surprised if one of those guys is going to be a weekly second flex option.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we've really, really good options in this queue here. But I think for me, number one stands out a lot.
Number one is my top. I mean, I think number one. I don't want to say much more than that. Well,
yeah, three would be awesome. 3 would be awesome. I almost think let's see which way this goes. Treasure Hunter is going to make us sweat a little bit here. The drafter ahead of us is going to use this clock. Let's see which way they go here. 6 is really a nice fallback option as well.
Yeah. And then 4 we'll be able to get 15, 16. So we don't need to rush on him. But I think honestly, if we're looking at the way things are playing out right now, top of the queue is where I want to lean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Top 2 of the queue. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Let's go ahead and lock in Emmett.
Yeah, let's take him.
Yeah, and I think we always kind of have these discussions on handcuffing. Should you do it? Should you not do it? I mean, man, every draft is different. Sometimes I'm like, that guy, the handcuff just went way too high. I'm not wasting a 10th round pick when there are all these just amazing players on the board to handcuff my situation. Now we're in the 14th. I like this build. You like this build. We're feeling pretty comfortable with the build. I don't personally feel stressed when it comes to, do we have a good core? Do we have options on the bench? Do we have do we have upside? And so I feel very comfortable in this type of build to really, handcuff at least just one of our running backs, especially the running back that has a history of getting injured.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you and I have talked a lot about strategy over the years, and you've always been really generous on my shows about just the way you handle your teams. And I think you nail it, where a lot of people are very dogmatic about handcuffing lowers your upside, which I think is absurd, because when I talk to you or Nelson Sousa or Chad Schroeder or all these guys that have won so much money over the years, and even with my own successful teams, handcuffing, you don't force it, but if it falls into your lap like this one, you're not necessarily banking on Kenneth Walker going down for the season and Emmett Johnson being some miracle worker. But Abib, there's 2 and 3 week injuries now in 17 game seasons, where Emmett Johnson for a 3 week period could be 45 total points or more in a 3 week period.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about upside is you can literally tell yourself any story. If you watch the NFL for any more than 2 or 3 seasons, you've seen all the stories. So you can tell yourself the story of Kenneth Walker is the top, is the number 1 overall back the entire season. And he's what gets everyone to the 3 week sprint. But then he goes down week 1 of the 3 week sprint where there's no more waivers. And the only teams that actually make noise are the teams that have him as a handcuff or have his handcuff. And Emmett Johnson is the guy who gets you 50, 55, 60 points to kind of take you home and take you. So, yeah, the idea of upside, I mean, that's a very nebulous, non-specific term that I think a lot of people probably aren't really using correctly. But, yeah, I feel comfortable with this build. So,
yeah,
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think just general rule, it's just like with quarterback. It's take quarterback when there's no other edge being presented to you, and quarterback is the best bet to make at the pick. You don't need to be dogmatic about, I need to pick my quarterback in this round. It's the same thing with builds, where I think Abib and I would have been open-minded to 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. We end up with running back, because that's just the way it fell. Don't be dogmatic with your builds, and don't be dogmatic with your rules. So like handcuffing, it's okay sometimes, guys. It doesn't make you look like a square to take your backup when you get them in round 14 anyway. So
PSA.
there we go. Yeah, PSA, guys. Write that one down. And I'll shout out to Michael Edelman, who I was in a $350 NFFC earlier today against Michael Edelman. It is a busy season for Michael Edelman, NFFC Hall of Famer. Kaki Guri in this one. He's about to go back-to-back at the 14-12 and the 501. Really, really good drafter. Who's won in a lot of formats on both sites. Yeah. We are creeping up here in the 15th round. I love our queue. Let's hope that these guys all land to us. We have 7 guys in the queue with an eternity before we pick.
Yeah, I think I'm in the NFFC streets these days.
What is your team? What is your team names? What is your team name?
No clue.
It's like a symbol or something? It's not even like a.
No, I've only drafted 2 teams. I'm only drafting 3 teams. This is too much for me to go site to site, waiver wise. But I had a talk with who is it? I think Sopranos. And he was like,
Shout out to Steve. Shout out to Steve. Steve.
So I was like, you know what? Go ahead and give me a 3-pack. I got one more that I'm going to draft. I think we're going to try to maybe stream that live. But I like the different formats. I like what they do over there. I love the KFC style. Being able to kind of pick your draft slot. I love that as an option. I hate to see Pat Bryant go.
Yeah, Pat Bryant's a tough one to see, and Caleb Douglas we had in our queue.
Yeah.
Steve and Nelson and Dave Hubbard, they're splitting a team in the $100,000 entry. If you're watching this live, I'm going to be doing a stream, and it'll end up being a podcast as well, where I'm going to review how that $100,000 entry league went. Players playing for $600,000, and then second, third, and fourth all get paid out as well. It's the biggest entry fee ever, a street legal one. There's probably some backroom fantasy football league we don't know about that might have had a higher one, but on board, on the books, it's a Guinness Book of World Records, and it's also at Circa Stadium Swim. And Abib and I, we're committed to it. If we take down the main event with this entry, we're going to be in that $100,000 entry league next year. We're there.
And if we're in Vegas at Circa, we're inviting everybody out. We're getting the table.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Steve, we got to get Steve out there.
Well, Steve will be there. Steve goes to Vegas. Steve, and a shout out. And this is because I'm a real one, I'm going to say his last name. Everybody talks about Steve. They refuse to say the last name because it's a Greek last name. So you got Dave Hubbard. And people are like, it's Nelson Sousa, Dave Hubbard, and Steve. And so tonight, Steve, it's Steve Georgalis.
Yeah.
And Steve Georgalis, we're going to say your last name here. We're last names and first names over here at RotoWire. We're not just going to say your first name there. So good luck to those 3 guys. Good luck to Chris Vaccaro. A lot of really good high stakes players, obviously, and then Chad Schroeder, Mike Santos, some high stakes guys, and then you have a mix of a couple of it attracted obviously people who like to gamble. There's some high level gamblers, and you never know what you're going to get. There's also bidding on Fab in that one, Abib. So
I cannot wait to watch that. I cannot wait to watch that breakdown. That to me is the highlight of the draft season. Is the biggest redraft league.
Yeah,
spot ever. I can't wait to watch that. That's going to be amazing.
Go and get your guy. It's like us doing 50 something of these at once. Yeah. So Alvin Kamara goes in round 15. Tyrone Tracy is falling like a rock. Jordan Love would have been an interesting QB2 for us in this build. He goes. Jalen McMillan, who I think has become a really good value. People are treating him like he's injured. He's back. Denzel Boston we had in the queue as well, Abib. Would have been interesting to have a 3 Brown build. But I'm glad we didn't have to cross that bridge. We are 2 picks away here. The queue looks good. There's a couple of interesting players. I like 2 a lot. And then I like 3 and 4 and just getting one of those guys.
Oh.
1 is fine, though. If you have conviction for 1, he's similar bet to 2.
I do not have conviction for 1. But I think I see more upside with 1.
Well, Malik Willis went, which is unfortunate. I would have been a really good quarterback too for us, but it's sort of an unnecessary. We are pot committed to Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts has a week 10 bye.
Yeah.
I'm okay with either of those first 2 guys, but I wonder if 4 or 5 we get one of those, and then one of the other 2 guys probably comes back around to us.
I just feel like talk about it on the clock. I'm typically waiting at that position because
I get it.
Early on, I was all about it because there was just plethora. But as we've kind of moved along, the board dries up, and I just prioritize, some of these. I mean, it's still dart throws. So if you feel strongly about one of them, I'm all for it. I don't have a strong lean as far as, okay, this is going to be the one that's going to really stand out amongst the others. I'm a little bit worried about 5, 4. They always seem to be good, so wouldn't hate that. But I want to go 1.
Okay, let's go 1 here.
Yeah.
1 is sort of a bridge for us to Jordan Tyson.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that he's running well ahead of Jalen Naylor right now in terms of the pecking order, and we saw him have good weeks last year. So let's take Trey Tucker.
Yeah.
And again, we're trying to look for analogies. If Brock Bowers is in like the JSN role in this offense, then could Trey Tucker, could he end up being New Orleans Rashid Shaheed before he went down with an injury?
Yeah.
Just that sort of role, and he thrives with it. The guy scored like an exceptional amount in that one game last year, that game against Washington, and the vibes are pretty good.
You can get creative with Trey Tucker. I mean, if you go back and look at some of, even like his most recent Raiders film and how he was used, and at times kind of being deployed out of the backfield. He's a guy that I think you can try and get in space, a couple of pop screens, just some easy looks, which I think is what this offense needs. As long as he's not the field stretcher, because Kirk Cousins really doesn't have an arm unless you get, depending on how long he's starting. But I don't have I'm not 100% convinced that it's Tucker over Naylor. Just trying to, balance that out. But to me, I think it makes sense to grab a guy like that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. There's discussion about the Texans defense. They went in round 13, so they've sort of settled in as the defense 1 in these.
Yeah,
we see Kate. You go for it.
Yeah, sorry. My only issue with the defenses is the Texans defense plays the Buffalo Bills week 1, right? So. Yeah, they could dominate. They're a good defense, but they play the Buffalo Bills week 1, So, are you going to be projecting? How many people are going to project them to outscore other defenses that are playing lesser opponents? And when I look at the 3-week stretch, again, injuries could happen, blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking at these schedules of some of these elite defenses, and I'm like, it's not like they're just a lot of layup matchups. There's always going to be a surprise defense, and it's always kind of hard to tell which one it's going to be. We have our suspicion, so I'm fine waiting at that position because I don't think it's a layup where you just get this amazing 2 to 3 week start of just them going up against terrible offenses.
Well, I mean, I think a counterpoint would be like they're just set it and forget it because the pass rushes are so elite with the 2 guys.
Yeah.
Where you're just going to bank those turnovers. You're going to bank the sacks regardless of the matchup. We're OTC here. Ryan Florna goes. For me, I've added one player into the queue at 7. Yeah. Just your thoughts on him. Is he in consideration or just too much of a theoretical
I don't think he didn't really fit this bill for me. I think it's really between the other skilled players that are in the queue. But again, if you feel strongly about one of these other,
I'm fine. I'm fine with it because I do think that this is the end of the appealing queue.
Yeah.
Do we risk it on 2? And I think he's the most likely to fall the way boards are going. It's probably 1 or 3 for me.
2 is not going to make it back, but that's fine.
Okay, your call. 1, 2, or 3. Let's do it.
Let's go 3.
I'm fine with it, and I've been drafting him, and he's moving up and up. And we'll just say it out loud because the other guy's not going to. It was between Adonai Mitchell and Malachi Fields.
Yeah.
Malachi Fields, a ton of positivity coming out that he's going to be the wide receiver 2 in New York. They love him. He's a great blocker. He was on the Notre Dame team last year blocking for both Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. They both go in the first round. Fields is massive. I was at the Senior Bowl. I was around Malachi Fields. He's bigger than half these tight ends.
Yes.
He's huge. So a little bit slower in the 40 than you would have guessed after that Senior Bowl week, which I think is the reason he went in the 3rd round and not the top 40. And I'll say Adonai Mitchell to me in a vacuum ahead of Malachi, but to bet on Kenyan, Sadiq, and Adonai Mitchell on the same team. It's a lot, and we're really stretching the limits of like unsexy offenses and exposure with this team. We already have 2 Cardinals. We already have 2 Browns. We can't go 2 Jets on this one.
And a player like Malachi feels like we're getting the unknown discount, but we're also getting a discount because he just, at least up until recently, has not been talked about a lot. But just look at the situation. Like, what more do you want? I wasn't a huge fan of him coming out, but I realized sometimes it does not matter. And especially with a quarterback like Jackson Dart, who scrambles a lot, who's just looking for a big target. We got a little sample in a preseason game where he found him in the back of the end zone. I think, a player like Malachi feels like a perfect bet. You don't know what to expect from Neighbors. We don't know. No one knows. No one knows. These videos that have come out have shown me nothing. Neighbors is an aggressive wide receiver. He cuts aggressively. He plays aggressively. He's extraordinarily explosive. And until I see that, I don't know when he's going to be like fully himself. So him likely kind of working in tandem, like you could literally see a scenario where week 1, week 2, he is 1 or 2 in targets on that team, depending on what happens with Neighbors.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Fields, it's one of those guys where you talk about like being a week ahead on waivers. If you're in a 15-man roster or 14-man roster, at some point this year, Malachi Fields is going to be like a home league. You can just see the headlines. It's like XYZ website, #1 waiver wire ad of the week is Malachi Fields. And high stakes managers are going to be like, I drafted him. He's been on my bench all year. But there's going to be a 2-touchdown game in his future. It's not Chase Claypool rookie year. They're very different. It's more like the back end T. Higgins rookie year. That sort of potential outcome where he could end up seeing that sort of utilization. And like you said, if Neighbors goes down, he's got a real pathway, chance of aggravation there, re-aggravation. And then you've also got, I know that the 2 of us are very high on Isaiah Likely, but that's still a theoretical, he can be a massive target earner. So I think Fields has some outs here. Our queue is looking good, and we are many picks away, though, so I'm going to load a couple more guys in there. Big shout-out to the live audiences for 2 of my streams here. I did a $350 entry with Davis Maddock today in the NFFC. Abib is incognito in that he's doing a couple teams, but nobody knows his team name. We took Josh Allen at the 501 in a 6-point passing touchdown format. It's our only Josh Allen. Do you have any Josh Allen at all in any of these formats? That was the first time I've taken him in an FFPC or NFFC all summer long. And again, I got him at 49 overall in a 6-point passing touchdown NFFC, so like well behind ADP.
I've wanted to, but it's been a fear. I already talked about waiting at quarterback, and it's just, everyone's talked about this. It's so hard to take Josh Allen where he goes, and then everyone else goes just significantly later. And there's just a huge drop-off in tier of the flex players in round 6 and 7. So you want to take multiple shots in round 6 and 7 for guys that may actually hit. So we take a player in round 3 and round 4, man, I mean, you're missing out on like the Waddles of the world, the Ibukas of the world, the Zay Flowers of the world. So it's hard for me to do it like in the FFPC format where it's only 4 points per passing TD. In the NFFC, to me, that's just a different world. I just draft over differently over there. I think, at some point I'm going to force myself to take a Josh Allen. It doesn't feel comfortable having 0 shares.
No. It
reminds me of having like 0 shares of Travion Henderson. I was just like, just prayer candles everywhere. But I think in an NFC, to me, it makes a lot more sense in that format to consider that. I think people also push running backs down the board a little bit because everyone's, you gotta get your wide receivers in that type of format, in that type of league setting. So I think you may be able to get a little bit more value and be able to make up for it there than in the FFPC.
We have Stephanie Miller of Ship Chasing and Legendary Upside. She's also watching. She did a main event the other night. This is main event season, Abib. A lot of people are drafting this weekend. I'm drafting a prime time with Dan Williamson on Sunday night. Are you in that one or no?
No, I have not signed up for it yet. I'm staying away from you guys.
Okay, there you go. I appreciate that. And then Abib and I will be drafting a main event team some night next week on some other channel. I don't remember which one with some other guy. No, I'm just joking. With Scott Barrett, and with the 3 of us will draft a team over on the Fantasy Points YouTube channel. Definitely go check that one out as well. And then Scott Barrett and Rich Rebar and I are going to be drafting a FFPC 350 next Thursday here. So we're doing a bunch of live drafts on this channel. My NFFC Silver Bullet, though, I'm going to do that on delay, Abib, because it's the one shot. Yeah. And I'm going to pre-record that, but I'll do my Silver Bullet, and I will have full disclosure. We have nothing to hide here over at RotoWire, so I will show you guys that one, but I'm not going to do that one live. That's the only one I'm not doing live. I got to keep it a little close to the vest and not get sniped. But this has been run out pretty well for us here. Yeah. We've got a bunch of really fun wide receiver 2 options. Malachi Fields, really interesting pick. Trey Tucker, an interesting pick. They potentially give us a bridge to Jordan Tyson. They give us a bridge to Casey Concepcion, going full on Casey Concepcion. Now we're in round 17. A lot of the tight ends are starting to dry up. We're seeing defenses go off the board. A bunch of elite defenses go off the board here. I'm pretty open-minded to this next pick. I think that number one in the way that the NFL is going would sort of make sense here. Hold on, let me refresh this. I think 1 and 2, for different reasons, are both great picks.
Yeah, and these other guys, 4 I like for our team, but these other guys won't make it back. 4 and 5.
I think 1 is. I think it's 1 or 2. It's 1 or 2 for me. It depends on how you want to go about it. 1, it just feels awesome.
I would say 2. Just
2's fine if you want to go 2 because there's other guys. Whatever. I'll add one more to the queue. Let's go 2. Okay, 2, we're going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, who forced a ton of turnovers last year, and we get, like Abib, you talk about bad matchups. We don't have to worry about that, because we have the Browns week 1. Yeah. Jacksonville is a huge favorite in that game. The implied team total for Cleveland's like 16. So we've got a really good matchup in week 1, and now we're sort of set at defense.
You know what? We forget like how much unknown is in week 1, right? Like this, we say, oh, this guy's, the number 2, or like this guy's going to be a breakout. And then week 1 happens. It's like, oh man, we just learned so much. So I think, out of all the defenses, this one seems, as far as not elite defenses, but this one seems like the more layup type matchup going against, an offense that's going to have to find itself throughout the year.
I think this is the bridge to Shedeur Sanders for all the Harold Fannin Jr. dynasty managers out there that want the Shedeur Sanders, Harold Fannin connection. Can we get okay, we were wrong. We shouldn't have thrown Deshaun Watson out there. I mean, Deshaun's mobility could potentially be surprising to people after all these years, but he hasn't played in so long. And this is a defense that forced turnovers last year. They can get to the quarterback. And we get a great matchup. So even if we're wrong on this one, we're playing the matchups week 1, and it's our 17th round pick. We can sort of send them back if they disappoint.
Yeah.
2's interesting as like a double bet option as well. I don't usually go in that direction, but it's good value here at 1803. But 1 would be my lean here. 1 or 5.
5, I've not. He's had some issues.
Yes.
So,
okay, so let's go 1 if he's there.
Yeah. And there's another, if you go to the actual QQ, the next guy in the queue, I think is also a good option. He's in a dome, and so we're kind of discussing kickers right now. I think we're Little and Kaimi Fairbairn. I feel like Jags may go for it a little bit more, but Little definitely has a larger leg.
It's the big leg for me. I'm chasing I want a 70-yard field goal.
Yeah. Now, our head coach is very conservative. Like, he's very conservative. So he's not going for it a lot. He's fine kicking the 40, 50-yard field goals. So, but
I'm going to defer to you on this one. They're both great kicking options. You have a little bit of a regional bias here, but Fairbairn is great, and I think Cam Little is great too. So I have them about close to one another, and I think they're both potential set it and forget it kickers for us all season long. So your call.
I'm going to go Fairbairn just because, again, the elite Texans defense and dome, being in a dome. He's been pretty solid. Yeah, we were looking at Dicker, but Dicker, Cameron Dicker missing a couple of extra points and some field goals. Being a kicker shaky. You start having a couple of misses in a row, and you start getting the yips, and psychologically that could really throw them off.
So we see the and when I said regional bias, Abib is in you're in Houston or the Houston area.
No, I'm in Houston. Actually,
you're in Houston.
You know what? I didn't realize, we took the Jags defense. We could have just, kind of gone with the simple, let's pair the defense with the kicker.
Yeah, but you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. It's fun. It's a dynasty, but yeah.
You could have sold me on that one.
I mean, is the plus EV nature of special teams defense combination? I mean, they're both good. They're both. I
do feel like there is a formula for defense for kickers. Like, obviously, you want a guy who has legs. The dome aspect is nice. Being in a decent average offense, and then just a head coach who won't constantly go for it. Like, I try to avoid Bates because I feel like they always go for it on fourth down, and they're scoring too many touchdowns. The Rams last year, they were just scoring too many touchdowns. So I like it. I want them to be good enough. The Vikings kicker, I think, is a good kicker to kind of go after, because I feel like the offense is going to be functional enough, defense is good enough. They play in a dome. And that kicker's he's got a leg on him too. Will Rieger.
We got called out for having no free looks on this team. Shame on you, BC 16300. We have Terrance Ferguson, who's going to have 2 touchdowns in that first game. We don't. I like it's become a drinking game on this show because I say free look so often. Apparently, I say edge pick way too often. I say free look way too often. Listen, guys. Don't start drinking during the daytime live streams. It's okay. It's Friday night. Go have a little fun. We get a free look with Terrance Ferguson. We don't have to worry. But Abib, you don't care about the free looks. You don't try to squeeze in a few in these last couple rounds if they're there.
No. I care.
Yeah,
but I don't
care. Come on.
Yeah. I do care. Like, when we talk about kickers, like I'm pretty much usually waiting on the San Francisco Rams kicker, and then just dropping them if they don't. I've drafted the San Francisco defense in certain situations because I have like a top 12. And so at the back end of that, I may just draft San Francisco, and then a couple guys on waivers that I'm willing to kind of roll the dice on week 1 if San Francisco does nothing. Because it doesn't take much. I mean, they punt return.
Yeah.
Somebody, fumbles a snap, and then somebody runs it back. But as far as like the skill players, I don't go out of my way to, like, I won't move players up. I don't really move them up. It's nice to have. Maybe as we get a little bit later in the draft, I consider it maybe a little bit, but to be quite honest, it's not something that I go really aggressive in trying to acquire.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to have. It makes that early game really, really exciting. Once in a while, you get the really high scoring first or second game of the year. Once in a while, it's a complete dud. Last year for sure. I mean, let's hope that we run pure. We all remember the Brazil game with like Philly, Green Bay. That was an incredible one for free looks. Dallas, Tampa Bay. Was sort of the legendary one years and years ago. We are into almost the 19th round. Theo Gremminger drafting with Abib Agbetoba. Abib, let everybody know what First and 15 podcast has going on this next week and into the season.
Yeah, so I think we should be looking at having a show, just a general show, talking about kind of the general landscape. We'll be done with the preseasons. Cuts will be, I think finalized on Sunday, and just talking about what is to come, maybe who are our guys, where we are staking our claims and planting our flags. We will definitely be trying to do some drafts, and I think for a lot of people, just being able to discuss as we draft and put it into action is very helpful. And for us, I mean, we're players first. I always tell people I have no fiduciary responsibility to anybody that listens to me. I'm telling you what I do. Okay. I'm telling you, what works for me or, where my mind is. This does not mean that I'm like, trying to get someone to draft this way or promoting a certain way of drafting. I'm just kind of giving you insight. And some of it's just, it really is kind of a, I love fantasy football, and to be able to talk about it, in front of a mic with Theo and with Chris. I mean, to me, that aspect of it is just so enjoyable. Otherwise, I would just keep this all to myself. Why would I want somebody knowing, who I want to draft? So, and then, in season 1st and 15th, I think we usually do like a quarter show. I try to view the season in quarters. I think a lot changes. Defenses, offenses make adjustments. Obviously, there's injuries that we have to take in account. rookies that may be gaining roles. So, what happens in the first week or first 4 weeks, first month and a half of the season, oftentimes we see a little bit of a shift. So usually we try to, break it down into quarters. So that's what's to come. I mean, that's, you just kind of want some just general lay of the land, some, bantering, guys just sort of kind of talking shop, eyes in a few FFPC main event drafts. I think it's a great show to just kind of add to the subs.
Yeah, no, I highly recommend your guys' work. You guys are all really, really strong players with a ton of skin in the game and really actionable takes. I listen to it, and I try not to listen to a ton of fantasy podcasts because I want all my own takes, but I will listen to you guys. Also, a shout out to Dan Williamson and Nelson and those guys for Fantasy Empire, sort of spreading the high stakes word out there. So definitely go check it out. You guys are on YouTube as well. If you're watching me on YouTube, just go subscribe to First and 15. We are one pick away here. We are good at defense. We're good at kicker. It makes these last two picks a lot more fun. The queue is wide open.
Yeah.
To me, one of the quarterbacks makes sense here.
Yeah.
More season-long viability might go with one, but two sort of makes sense for this build.
I don't mind either or. I think I'd play it more for season long.
Then one's probably the bet.
Yeah.
Because we already made a big bet on Jonathan Taylor. Let's take Daniel Jones with him.
Yeah.
Okay, so we take Daniel Jones as our QB2.
And they correlated pretty well last year. I mean,
100%.
Yeah, so,
they were both playing very well together.
Yeah.
And we also saw some sort of, not out of nowhere, but some pleasant surprise with Jonathan Taylor, the receiver, last year.
Yep.
And is that something we see more with him when he's 27 years old this year into like his twilight years where does Indianapolis know that they've got a lot of money invested in him and just getting the ball in his hands in kind of creative ways as a receiver instead of just grinding him into the ground? Hopefully that's a trend for us this year. Last pick. I like the final guys in the queue for potential, just see how it looks.
Yeah.
We'll know early on in the year whether those are guys we send back based on their usage. One, I understand. I think you really want to take one. So if you have conviction for him, it's sort of a bridge. But I think we've sort of recovered. I don't know if we really need him.
Yeah, I don't know. I like one because I think, if we struggle to get our guy back, I think he may have some value. I mean, you can't tell me that he can't be the number 2 on his team. We've seen it. We have physically seen it. And so I think he definitely at the top of my list.
Is one of your co-hosts calling you to put the pick in? Is it phone a friend here? Phone a friend here in round 20?
I don't know why.
Theo's calling you up saying, I don't want to put this in the chat, but I've got a sleeper I want you to know about, Abib.
Let me check the text message. That actually is Theo.
There you go. And we got Harrison Mevis, another free look kicker goes off the board. Bang bang defenses, the double tap of defense by the team in team 12, but they're auto picks, so maybe he's just like, forget it, I'm done.
Yeah.
We're one pick out here.
11 has to take a defense. So
let's talk about it then.
So I just, I think Bele had like a double target game last year, and this is the guy that they went and traded for. I like the idea of him being a big slot. And so they had Jawan Johnson last year. And I get I understand the Jawan Johnson love. I understand the college connection and what he did last year. But we do have proof of concept of Bele potentially being something in this offense. So this is, somewhat of a hedge bet. I consider, I call it the wide receiver handcuff. And we're going to know right away. I think, the 5 and 6 are fun picks, but the upside, and I think the week-to-week starting, I think it's gonna take an injury. I could be wrong with maybe 5. 6, I think is gonna be tough. They just had too many weapons in that offense.
Yeah, I think 1 is fine. 6 gives you a little bit of a free look, which is kind of an it.
Yeah.
1 for me is fine. It's a bridge, and I know you have conviction with him.
Okay, we do have one more. One more. This is a phone in, and when he calls.
Okay, all right, go for it.
We gotta listen.
Okay,
Chris Bell.
Oh yeah, that is a good one. Let's go Chris Bell.
Let's go Chris Bell.
We're taking. Wait, one problem is?
Yeah.
Gosh, man, if we keep Vele, we're literally gonna have no one that we can cut week 1.
Yeah.
Chris Bell's off the board, I think.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he's just taken.
Oh, he's off the board. Oh,
So do we take Vele or do you want to take the free look?
Let's take the free look.
Let's take Raritan for the free look.
Yeah.
Okay, we're taking Eli Raritan, and then I'm doing this preseason waiver wire article. It'll drop over on RotoWire. Vele's in there. I think NFFC Vele, there's going to be a big correction, but we need to have a couple of bullets here that we can sort of send back. We're looking for Eli. 2 things happen. Either Eli Raritan has incredible usage week 1, and we're like, oh my God, we totally underestimated this elite athlete, rookie tight end. Or Eli Raritan does nothing. That makes our life easy. Or Eli Raritan plays a really low percentage of snaps, but he catches a long touchdown pass, and he's certainly athletic enough to do that. And we're like, okay, let's just bank the points, and then we let him go on the waiver wire the following week. So it's really a free look. And it's Mike Shope is taking him every draft. Yeah. So Mike Shope and I took him on our main event team. I think he made me take him in round 19 because he didn't want to lose him. Mike, I don't think you're going to get sniped on Raritan. Abib wasn't really pounding the table for him there, but it's a fine pick there. Really, really talented player, I think, for 2027. They did re-sign Hunter Henry, but I think Raritan's good. That's it, Abib. Your thoughts on this team?
I love it. I think it worked out well. We were positioned. You don't want to go in with a plan, but you want to go in with an idea of what the market and the ADP looks like and where guys are going. And this, to me, is sort of kind of what I had envisioned. I like the shots that we took. We got a ton of upside. And I think we have players potentially also that can fill in when needed. And to me, it's not just about having a strong starting 6 and then having a bunch of guys who require injuries, but to have some fine balance there. So, and then we just got some of the key guys. Some of these guys may end up not really panning out, but everything you hear about Terrance Ferguson, to me, that is just a guy where where he's going right now may still not be high enough, and we're gonna find out early. But also, he's a guy that Adams is old, so I really like getting him. We love KC. We've already talked about him at great length. All we need is the Browns' offense to be above average, and we're cooking.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll go through and we're going to make the bull case on how we win $1 million with this team.
Sure.
Jonathan Taylor plays all 17 games again. The running back 1 overall has been 27 years old in 3 out of the last 4 years. Wow. Taylor makes it 4 out of the 5. He averages 25 points per game, leads the NFL in rushing yards, touchdowns. He's just awesome. Kenneth Walker is Derrick Henry 2024 level, is 18.5 points per game, has a career year, catches 60 passes in this offense out of nowhere as well. Absolutely smashes down the stretch. Jalen Waddle finishes as the wide receiver 6 overall, has a career year, is awesome in Denver. Luther Burden is a low-end wide receiver 1. And Abib, we talk about players who are playing well when the money matters. Luther Burden averages 20 points per game in the FFPC playoffs. Yes. Luther Burden's a 1-2 turn consideration heading into 2027. Quinshon Judkins finishes as the running back 12. The volume is fantastic. He gets 9 touchdowns. The threat of losing out on passing game work to Sampson is just non-existent. He looks at every bit the bell cow, and Cleveland is the 22nd best offense, not the 32nd best offense. Tucker Kraft does exactly what he did last year. He finishes as the tight end 3 and gives us a huge boost. None of the Green Bay wide receivers get rocking, and Kraft ends up leading the team. Michael Wilson, wide receiver 18, outscores Marvin Harrison Jr., ends up getting a huge free agent contract at the end of the year. KC Concepcion, offensive rookie of the year. Rookie year, Jalen Waddle. I saw that one from RotoWire's own Ian Harditz. Yeah. So I can go with that one. Thank you, Ian. Your comparison is now our comparison. We share that one because I put it out there. Good one, Ian. And then Terrance Ferguson. Abib, what's your upside case for Ferguson? Tight end?
Tight end 5. Tight end 5. Tight end 5.
Oh, my God.
Tight end 5. Tight end 5. Somebody somebody falls, okay? Either Puka because of his aggressive play or Adams, succumbs to another soft tissue hamstring injury. And Terrance Ferguson, the hype is real. The offseason beat reports are real. He's all over the field. He's not just your field stretcher and down the stream stretcher. He's in the flats. He's running crossers. The athleticism is off the charts. The offense is dictated and built around him. And this is the kicker. He is an absolute weapon in the red zone. We see that Devontae Adams, top 3 red zone target share shift and pivot to one Terrance Ferguson.
Yeah, we Devontae Adams goes down. Devontae, so to speak, dies so Terrance can live. No, we don't want anything to happen to Devontae Adams. We love you, Devontae Adams. Just metaphorically, fantasy wise, for a couple games. And it could be the end of the year, Abib. Just do the same, like week 13, Devontae, take a couple of weeks off and let us go get paid there.
Yeah, ready for the Super Bowl.
There we go. And then so going through it, Jalen Hurts. The haters are just in shambles. When Jalen Hurts finishes QB3 overall, nothing changes. He just keeps scoring fantasy points. Sean Mannion gets fast-tracked to being an NFL head coach. Jordan Tyson comes back with a vengeance in Week 8, Week 9, ends up averaging 15 points per game over the second half of the year. Even though I love him, he is very close to Olave in scoring. That's how talented a player he is over the stretch run. Tyler Allgeier, we get 8 starts with this team, and it's fine. I don't want to say anything bad about Jeremiah Love and all my dynasty shares, and I still like joy of young players scoring. But whatever. Kenyan Sadiq ends up being the tight end 14, has a bunch of spike weeks, ends up being a huge riser, goes from being a 14th round, 13th round selection for us in this draft. A year from now, he's going in like round 5 in FFPC main events. And we get that by him having a huge second half of the year. Emma Johnson does nothing, but he keeps us sleeping like a baby every single night. Trey Tucker is 2024 Rashid Shaheed. Malachi Fields is end of rookie year T. Higgins, has a bunch of spike weeks. Jacksonville defense finishes as a top 5 unit, forces a bunch of turnovers, gets us 25 points in week 1. We're off to a red hot start. Kaimi Fairbairn, just for you, is kicker 1 overall in the year. Brandon Aubrey managers are just hating it because they could have waited on Fairbairn. Daniel Jones does nothing, but Daniel Jones in the 1 week, week 10, Daniel Jones puts up a huge number for us. And Eli Rieger, week 1, 2 receiving touchdowns. And then we say, thank you for your service. Yeah. We let him go, and we get somebody off the waiver wire. Abib, really fun drafting with you. I'm going to see you in a couple nights. Make sure you tune in if you want. Tune in tomorrow morning if you're watching this live. If you're on the podcast, it'll be in the podcast feed. But I'm going to review the $100,000 entry NFFC league. I'm also going to be doing an NFFC primetime, which is their equivalent of the main event, with Dan Williamson on Sunday night. Look for Abib and I to be splitting a team over on Fantasy Points this week. And stick with us here at RotoWire. We're going to help you crush your leagues this season.